and copier, and then Canon corporate undercut their reseller.
Wow. Well, it looks like he pulled out of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
same machine, but it was
It
cheaper.
looks really,
I
wow.
was
So
like-
was that in high
But it was
school?
interesting, I mean,
No,
because,
college.
Oh.
And then he went for inpatient.
and of course,
strain
Ken
lead.
was here to
Oh,
talk about
did
how.
he?
Yeah.
Hey Dave,
It
it's
was so
Kelly.
funny,
I don't have you on
because
speakerphone yet, so
Huge.
just so you know.
And so one side of
Oh, I don't have you on speakerphone yet, just in case you had any last parting words of wisdom or anything.
Yeah, well, whoever it was.
Because and
Yeah.
it's, you know, X number of years, whatever. And they said the average
4
age
minutes with me and Kelly's getting a hold of.
was
Dennis,
15
you know.
years before.
Somebody knew.
Well, you know that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But for a long week.
Oh, God.
But he,
Yeah.
but he was one of the first time where it's all in. Once he got taken
No,
over,
that's
Yeah.
real.
the opposite races.
Yeah.
So no, he's been
That's nice.
Has this been the first one that covers each of the?
Not since I've been in
It has the code section underneath.
Okay.
Wow, well, good for him.
I was gonna
That's
give
what my
just like
daughter
a
liked.
minute long
It's
James
really
Bond
Oh, it is? Yeah.
approach here, and I'm just gonna do like a
You know
minute.
Printing out a
what? Those
page.
guys are
Either you-
terrible.
Oh, I love
And then
it.
I saw in this one that it
Let you
said.
chime in
My
and
mom
add
was,
to that, and
It's
then,
bipolar.
you know, they might ask the application.
I didn't know.
Seriously.
And then also James will have
Hospital.
the opportunity to present staff report.
And then-
He doesn't have, we have a few
So
And they
people
did,
on
they
the
complete, and then they just came around and said, okay, now it's.
So, to me, it would be better just to allow that, and then say you can speak.
But so you go through that.
Absolutely not, we're not here. I just think that's kind of an aggressive stance, personally.
You'll be okay, you'll get through it, it's normal. But I think everyone grew up in this picture of this.
Yeah.
Right?
Not our family.
Yeah, exactly.
In front of me, he has it, his staff.
Everybody's family is.
Right.
And if they're not, they're liars.
That's right. No, it's true. Yeah, we always think it's interesting because our clients think our lives are perfect. And it's like, no, actually, you can Google us. It's in the paper. We're not perfect.
That I had, if you go off the city's website.
We all do our best.
He's gonna be back when it's different.
I'm dealing with my oldest.
Right.
It's 78. We have a people challenge, 21 years from oldest to youngest.
Wow.
And he has
Sounds like a plan.
Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I called your work line, so you're gonna have a missed call. That was
Second.
My
before,
brother,
so that was the wrong
yeah,
number.
so we-
Well, they.
terrible.
I remembered it. Oh, yeah, it's his cell phone. So let me put you on
I'm
speakerphone.
starting to come off and you gotta get this thing, you all your papers ordered, no.
Can you hear me still?
Just for kids.
Yep,
Okay.
I can. I'm gonna put in my,
Central Standard
my,
kids.
earpiece on that.
Most had 50-year-old kids,
Okay.
you
Yeah,
know.
that doesn't,
That
it
was,
happens. Yeah.
but the hiding for, I mean, I knew
Yeah.
what was going on.
So, start at 7?
Start in a minute or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
yeah,
we're going to
back.
start up at 7, to the clock at 7. Since everybody's here, we have David on the line.
So you're not left in the dark.
Okay, everybody ready? Okay, I'll call to order the June 10th. Actually, it's kind of a special meeting since we normally meet on the latter part of the month, but June 10th, planning commission meeting, call for roll call.
Commissioner Lasowski,
Here.
Commissioner McLean-Wenzel,
Here.
Commissioner Logan,
Here.
Commissioner Mobley,
Here.
Commissioner Mate,
Here.
and Chairman Carlton.
Here.
And Chairman Crosby is excused for tonight.
Okay, this is the time on our agenda where we give anybody in the audience who just wants to address the planning commission meeting on some topic that's not on the agenda, just a chance to address the planning commission. We have a 5-minute limit. We're open, so step up to the microphone if you'd like to. Seeing no quick takers, if anybody wants to be on TV tonight, we have no old business. We have new business. We have one public hearing tonight, so I'll open the public hearing at 7:01 for application 18046, the Stow-A-Way mini storage. So I call for any abstentions from the hearing body? None? Okay. Call for any conflict of interest from the hearing body? No. Does anybody have any ex parte contact to disclose? No? Okay. So call for challenges to the jurisdiction of the hearing body. And I call for challenges to any individual members of the hearing body. Okay. If you testify, you must raise all issues at this hearing. Your comment should state why the application should or should not be approved, or include proposed modifications you believe are necessary for approval according to the standards. If you do not raise specific issues at the final evidentiary hearing or by close of the record, or fail to provide statements or evidence to allow the local government or its designee to respond to the issue, you will not be able to appeal the decision to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that particular issue. Failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues related to the proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the local government or its designee to respond to the issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Any party has the right to request a continuance of the public hearing, or on the alternative, to have the record remain open. Call for the staff report.
Okay, and before we get into the staff report, I want to let you know that David Dukeman's on the phone tonight, and James, if you so choose, will present the staff report. And I'm just going to give a brief synopsis of kind of where we're at tonight, and then David, feel free to chime in and add anything that you think is relevant. So basically where we're at tonight is the applicant's representative and the applicant have requested a continuance. I think they would prefer the staff not even to give a report, and for them not to give a report tonight and to not take testimony. In the alternative, you can have staff do a presentation and have the applicant do a short presentation or no presentation with no public testimony, or in the alternative to that, you could have both of those things with also taking some public testimony. As you all recall, we have to grant a continuance, and we believe we can do the continuance on, thank you, James, July 22nd, so we do it to a date certain. But really, it's really Planning Commission's call for how much they want to hear tonight and how much they want to just delay into the next meeting. Do you have anything to add to that, David?
Yeah, not much. Thanks, Kelly. I guess the only thing I would add, just to clarify, is as Kelly said, this is the initial evidentiary hearing, so Oregon law allows anybody, including the applicant, to go ahead and make that request for a continuance. You have two choices there. You can either, as Kelly said, continue the hearing until a date certain, and staff and the applicant have identified July 22nd as that date. You also can leave the record open and then proceed through an open record process, and then basically what would happen then is staff would come back and summarize what came in, and at a future date you would deliberate and make a decision. I don't recommend going down that path for a couple of reasons. One, historically, you've really never done that. So, the option to continue to July 22nd is preferred. And I guess number two, and this kind of gets into the issue about, what to do tonight in terms of, a staff report and testimony. As Kelly said, that is really your call, how you want to handle that. I think the issue, and I'll, I guess I'll somewhat speak for the applicant. I have talked to the applicant's attorney, Mike Robinson, who I believe is there tonight. They are really in a position of wanting to, digest the recommendation and be able to come back to you with presumably, it sounds like some refinements to the proposal, have a discussion maybe in the interim with staff over some of the conditions, and then be able to, better articulate and respond to the staff report on July 22nd. So, legally speaking, you are free to make this as minimal as you want to. You could simply, have a discussion about, do we just want to continue this for everything? And then ultimately have a motion to that effect to continue it to the date certain. Or as Kelly said, you could, allow for what I would suggest would be just sort of a brief staff report, because we know we're going to be coming back anyway. And if you wanted to also take some public testimony, that's fine as well. But to be clear, just so you know, and for members of the public as well, including the applicant, if you do continue it to July 22nd, everybody would still have the ability to raise issues at that point, and they may be, more focused concerns simply because there may be, some changes that would occur between now and that time. So, but beyond that, it is really your call as to how you want to handle that. I would recommend, if I can be so bold, is to maybe just have that discussion first about, amongst yourselves about, we're presumably going to continue it, and then what do we want to do tonight in terms of the staff report and testimony. And then once you make that decision, go forward if in fact you want to, have some amount of the staff report and testimony.
Okay, just to clarify one thing, the applicant is asking for the continuance?
Yes.
Okay, so we're just on that on the record. And so then what does that do to the clock?
It stops it.
Oh, yeah, great point. Yeah, so the clock then, because the applicant is requesting it, will be told for the duration of that continuance. So it would, the clock would basically stop for the number of days between now and July 22nd, and that is addressed in Mr. Robinson's letter to the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Okay, does old Mayor of the Planning Commission understand the three options?
Yeah.
So I'll just open it up to
Well,
your thoughts.
yeah, I'm just thinking that, if there's gonna be changes made, we don't even know exactly what those are gonna be. I don't know if we wanna hear it now and then hear it again on the 22nd, especially because Chairman Crosby will be back. And, I don't know, it just seems to me that we're gonna hear it twice. That doesn't make sense. If it's gonna change any substantially, or if they're gonna try to address some of the staff's concerns. And I kind of think I heard David say that he would just recommend.
Only thing I was gonna, I concur with that. The only thing I would ask is if there's somebody in the audience that wants to give public testimony, because they may not be available
Oh.
on the continued date.
Yeah.
To see if they can give their testimony, even though we may or may not get the recount from the staff.
Yeah.
I kind of agree, we
Yeah.
just wait until
Yeah.
next time to hear their portion, but
Anybody else?
I would offer it to the public.
I concur.
I agree. I do not hear any of the staff report, but hear any testimony.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I would say we'll have a brief staff report as James wants to give us.
I think we're not, even the staff report could change then in the interim.
Right.
So
That's what I
hearing
think.
it tonight doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, because if they're gonna revisit
Yeah.
with staff, it may
It's gonna
change
change.
a little or a lot. but
I guess what I was thinking is, he would basically summarize what just what is being requested. Make sure everybody understands the
Well, we've got
deviations,
that.
makes them understands the special variances, but not me go beyond that. Just so when you get testimony or whatever, you're on what people are talking about.
Right.
So, and, Jerry, I assume Jerry will be back here on the 22nd.
Yeah.
What we normally have done is, if Jerry was here, I'd still continue it. Once you start something, you kind of continue it.
Is it okay to ask if we have anybody to give testimony before the staff gives their account? Because if there's nobody to testify, there's nothing to tie it to. Don't want to waste their time giving a summary, even a brief summary, if there's nobody to
I
testify.
think we just kind of hop to it, and we'll probably be done quicker than we think. But there are a few people here, and I know that we do have some written testimony that we may end up in the record. We'll see what happens, so.
Okay, so I'm not quite sure I understand, because there were like 4 people who said, or 5 people that said that let's just continue it, but you want to go ahead and hear the staff, without staff? You want to hear the staff?
I think if we need to have enough of a staff presentation so people understand just what the issues are. That's,
Okay.
just make sure everybody's clear. Okay, and then the applicant presentation, then if everybody wants to testify, they can. And,
But I just want to be clear too, David, I'm hearing that we could push off everything till next meeting.
That's correct, yeah. I mean, you don't have any obligation legally to really do anything tonight other than if that was where you wanted to go, say, okay, well, we're going to continue this in its entirety to July 22nd. That's correct.
I mean, that's my vote, is to entirely, presentations and all, just move it forward to the next date.
That would be my vote too, with the possible exception, like Chris said, yeah, we've got somebody in the audience that would like to,
well, we have some people here. The point is that courtesy of allowing those who are here to testify if they would like. They may
Yeah.
not be able to be here on the 22nd.
right, that's what we're saying.
So,
I mean,
But everybody else here is part of the thing itself. There's nobody here that's not related to this.
so just for your guys' reference, for the 8 years I've been here, and I've told Mike, the applicant's representative, this, and maybe I missed a few meetings, so it might have been done differently a time or two. But, and Dawn and Ron, I know you guys could probably chime in on this, but I think typically with continuances, we've done a brief staff report and then allowed for public testimony. I'm just giving you the historic reference of what we've done since I've been here. And I did let Mr. Robinson know that as well, that's what we've done. Doesn't mean we have to do that tonight, but that is what we've done in other applications, so.
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm used to, and David just kind of gave us our options.
Yeah, I don't have a frame of reference for brief, so I just didn't want to get a
Yeah, I
whole bunch
don't
of
either.
information.
Exactly.
But if you say brief, I'm okay with that.
Let's
Yeah.
roll.
I agree.
So why don't we go ahead and James, staff report for as long or short as you like to make it.
I'll do it extremely brief and just simply go over the property and then just very briefly over what they're requesting as of right now before any communication over the next month or so. So on your screens is the actual site property. In red is the whole parcel that is owned and operated under the same ownership. In yellow is the actual Stow-A-Way mini storage site. It consists of 3 buildings for storage as well as 1 building for an office space. And then highlighted in blue on the left side, so that's the west side of the property, are the 3 storage units, A, B, and C, that we're here today to discuss. So this is going to be my second slide. You guys know I keep it pretty brief, so today's extra brief. The request today is for 5 design deviations. That's design deviations within 1790, and then 2 special variances. So the 5 deviations, again, are all found within 1790. Deviation number 1 is to eliminate the required siding material. The code requires horizontal siding. The existing structures have a metal sheet siding. The second deviation is to eliminate a primary entrance facing a public street. And to kind of piggyback on that, the deviation number 3 is to eliminate an entrance connecting directly between the right-of-way and that primary entrance that would be required. Their proposal is to eliminate the primary entrance as well as eliminate that pedestrian connection. Deviation 4 is to eliminate the 4-foot deep entry shelters in front of each entrance. And then the 5th and final deviation is to not incorporate the lighting standards found within 1790 130H, which does have 4 different requirements, and that's for essentially pedestrian safety lighting. The 2 requested special variances are to have units B and C within the front 30-foot setback. One would be at 18 feet, that's unit B, and one would be at 24 feet, which is unit C. And then the second special variance is to incorporate a flat roof versus the pitched roof that's required within 1790. So in short, it's those 5 deviations as well as those 2 special variances, and from communication with the applicant's representative, I believe they wanted to discuss some alternatives to meet these codes. So that's what we would be discussing and potentially changing over the next month.
Okay,
In addition, they would like to keep the existing surface versus asphalting the surface up to the new units, which in our conditions, we would require them to pave it because all maneuvering, drive aisles, as well as parking areas are required to have that improved surface. So that's definitely something that would be in the conditions. They weren't necessarily asking for a deviation from that. They were just simply not going to be providing that. That is something that we would require for this type of use.
I know that to add stormwater detention, or treatment and detention and everything else, just like any other site in Sandy with vehicles.
Were these the 3?
okay, is that it?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll call for applicant's presentation.
Tucked together, gotcha.
Good evening, Chair Carlton, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Michael Robinson. I'm a land use attorney on behalf of the applicant. Thanks, James and Kelly, for the staff report. So I'll keep this even briefer. Thank you for granting the continuance. The purpose of the continuance request is entirely related to it's going to allow us to come back and I think meet the majority of the conditions of approval. We just got the staff report on Monday, on time, by the way, so thank you. But as you can imagine, it takes a while to go through it and make sure we're thinking about it correctly. But my expectation is when we return new materials to staff, and we've committed to doing that by the end of this month, we will have met most of them, if not all of them. I can tell you there's probably 1 or 2 we're going to want to talk about with staff and maybe reword. And if I could correct James, and I apologize for doing this, our intent is to pave. How many of you have been down there to see it? Have you all driven down there? Okay. So as you go into it, there's a gravel area. We certainly intend to pave that area. The question that we wanted to clarify with James and Kelly, and it's tough to do until you can actually talk with them, is how far back do you want that paving? I don't think they intended that we pave areas that aren't paved right now that aren't really serving these 3 buildings, but it's certainly our intent to pave that area down there so we have adequate parking, maneuvering, and turnaround. And we intend to provide all of the stormwater materials. So I think you're going to see an improved application when we come back on the 22nd of July, one that we hope staff will feel better about. And thank you for your time tonight. I'm confident that when we come back, we'll have a good presentation to make to you, and we'll see you on the 22nd of July. But thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
Mike,
you.
could I get your address?
Your address, you have a business card you could leave?
You have my letter in the record that has my address, but I'll repeat it for the public. It's, you know what, I got to remember because I moved only a year and a half ago and I still forget.
Kind of happens to me before, I just.
Doesn't do much good, give you my old address. It's 1211 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 1900, Portland, Oregon, 97204, and that's my office mailing address. And just one other clarification, if I could, Mr. Carlton, we did extend the 120-day period by the period of the continuance, 42 days, so that you're not losing any time with the continuance. Thank you so much tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, our general process is to ask for, first for those who are in favor of the application to come up and speak, and then after that, those who want to speak not in favor of the application, then speak, and then if you're not on either way and you just want to come up and make a comment, then that would be the third. So call for any proponent testimony. Okay, none seen. Okay, I'll call for any opponent testimony.
Good evening.
Microphone, your name, address.
Mark Benson, 16355 Champion Way, Sandy, Oregon. Good evening, guys. Hey, I'm not going to pull any punches. I don't like the Sandy style. I think it's a tremendous burden on business rock. But what I am going to ask is some rhetorical questions, but I would like some answers back. I think your integrity on this group is great, but that ensures level playing fields. So I dropped off today just to make sure everybody had copies of what I did back in 2016, and I'm told, no, can't happen, not gonna happen. I'm told beyond all of the siding, the windows, all the different things that we had to do, I had to make sure, no matter what, I had the ability to get a fire truck down there, turn around, and get in and off the property properly. Hard surfaces, the whole 9 yards. I would have been open and operating. I'm paying $20,000 a year property taxes for raw land. Now, I don't have anything against these people as individuals, but I can tell you one thing, they've been operating for 2 years. And guess what? I don't think they paid property taxes on these structures. You know why? It's rhetorical. Todd? It's not on the tax rolls because it hasn't been permitted by the city yet. 1200C permit. Has it been pulled, Ron? No answer?
I'm just listening, you're giving
No, you're
testimony.
giving testimony.
You're giving
You're not
testimony, I'm just,
questioning
yeah.
Okay, okay,
This is not a question and answer for this side. I'm listening though.
okay.
We are listening.
I want to see it. I've asked. And guys, here's the precedent you're setting right now. You've got somebody operating in this community in business without a permit, without having the fire department been through it, electrical permits, without having solid surfaces, soil and water control measures, any of that up. Asphalt, not there. Concrete, poured. Now, I'm a little over $300,000 in pleasing this group, getting my application put in properly. Now, what happens if I go out and raise my investment? If I raise my investment out here and all of a sudden I'm over $10 million down there between the gas station and the mini storage. And the guy next to me, who I think is a great guy, Steve Sabella, he does the same thing. Instead, he puts in 1,000 of these. What's that do to my business? What have you done to help protect my investment? And I gotta tell you, right now, I'm surprised you're giving the continuance. And you know why? They're collecting income, you got consumers going in and out, and it's not permitted. I'm not an attorney, don't wanna be an attorney. I can hire those guys. But I'm a business person. And I understand the importance of integrity when dealing with government. And all I'm asking for is integrity. And Ron, I'll disagree with you. I think we can communicate back and forth because that's what makes good government. Not somebody that wants to sit back and say, hey, we're just here to listen, we're not here to engage. You've engaged before, you could engage now if you chose. So I will challenge you on that. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I
Mr.
want to build
Benson,
you.
don't, listen, you're giving testimony.
Yes, sir?
When you talked to us before, you're the applicant. The applicant can dialogue with the commission, that's expected.
Okay?
Okay, there's no expectation that we need to dialogue with you when you're giving testimony. You're
I'm
giving
asking,
testimony.
that's all I'm doing. I'm being respectful, but I'm definitely asking. I've got a tremendous investment that I've counted on this group to make sure everyone has to adhere to the same set of guidelines. I've listed a tremendous number of them. I'm not gonna go through them because they're all right here. But I am gonna ask, and I think you've got tremendous integrity. When I ask point blank, you've got a business operating, not being fined, consumers going in and using it, and nothing's been through planning yet.
Mr. Benz, I will answer one thing, and this is on my behalf, not the city, is we're here to look at the design of the building. In terms of the business license being pulled, I really know nothing about that. All right? That's not brought forth to me that they're operating a business or part of the business without a license. I don't know that. I'm sitting here tonight looking at the usage of this building, though it's laid out in the documents that James has provided.
That's right.
So,
But you've built before. You know what's needed.
but I'm trying to answer your question. So in
Thank
terms of the operating hour permit, that's not germane to this group here tonight.
Okay?
I understand what you're saying, okay?
So, all I'm looking for is instruct this group over here with Kelly. What have we got? Do we really have a business that's operating in this town? Without it.
And the other one is, if you have that, a great place to bring those to is the city council.
Oh, I will. Don't
Okay,
worry.
okay.
But it'll probably be in a little more formal setting. I knew about this tonight, and I wanted to come through. I wanted to make sure that I've invested, and I want to make sure that I'm doing things that were requested of us, many of which I completely disagree with, but we're doing, because we're forced to. Now, at the same time, it needs to be applied equally.
Okay.
Very important.
Okay,
Okay?
that's your testimony.
Thank you, Don. Anything else?
I just want to make sure that if you want this entered into the record, that a copy needs to be provided to staff. Or
I
did you-
provided
He did.
it to
You have it, okay,
He sent us
so I
one.
just want to make sure that this is in the record.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else who has opponent testimony would like to step up to the microphone, give your name and address? Spend a little time on television tonight. Okay, if you don't know if you're for or against, but you just like to, make a comment with respect to the application, go ahead and step right up. Okay, hearing none, let's go back for a staff recap.
Yeah, I don't think you guys really want to go into that too much
Yeah.
tonight. I will give two brief things. We have to grant a continuance. It's state law. So I don't know what he's talking about, but and I'm pretty sure David and I already addressed that pretty well. The second thing is that for people in the audience, and if any city councilors are listening to this, I'd be very cautious about hearing anything about this from Mr. Benson right now, because based on your decision, that can be appealed to them. And if they're already giving advice or feedback to Mr. Benson, not only would that have to be declared, but it could potentially become a legal issue. So I think we need to be very careful and remember that also as planning commissioners, as somebody approaches you in the public and that kind of thing. So
In other words, no ex parte contact.
correct. Or if you do have it, you got to declare it, and then you got to be very careful what the contact and information was about. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe just, I open up just for discussion, a little bit or interchange from the commission, and then, of course, we'll close out, but I want to give folks a chance to talk.
The only thing I was gonna say is, I look like most of us have gone down and looked at the property, but if you haven't had a chance yet, absolutely go down and look at it, so that we're along the.
It's important
It's right
that,
down there.
yeah, it's a unique situation, is all I would say, and so you can, once you see it, you'll see what I mean. Okay, so, that's why it's kind of important. Okay, well, we will not close the public hearing because we're, of course, keeping it open. So,
Commissioner Carlton, this is David. I would just say one thing for tonight, just to be, fair as fair is all around. You may want to ask whether the applicant has anything else it wants to say tonight. Obviously, they're going to have a full opportunity to do that on July 22nd if that's your decision. But just to close that loop for tonight, I would invite that if they want to.
okay, staff, applicant, if you'd like to go ahead and respond.
Thank you, Mr. Carlton, members of the Planning Commission. Michael Robinson, again, on behalf of the applicant. I think we'll reserve our testimony for a written submittal and oral testimony on July 22nd. But again, thank you for your time tonight. And may I ask this, if there's anything you're thinking of tonight that you'd like us to particularly pay attention to in our response, feel free to state out in the record so we can make sure that we do it. And again, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I guess, let's go to the next part of our agenda, which is items from commission and staff.
Or we make a motion, we gotta make a motion to continue?
Do we have to make a motion?
Yeah, to continue.
Yeah. Let's let
Yeah,
David
you just want to
chime
make a
in.
motion for that. Yep.
Okay,
I make a motion that we continue this to the 18-046 Stow-A-Way mini storage to July 22nd.
I second that.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to do multiple things here. We don't have a minute taker right now, so it was Commissioner Lasowski. Okay, and, oh, look at that. That's what it said in the last one on my template. Okay, thanks. Sorry about
okay. So, go, roll call vote?
that. Commissioner Lasowski,
Yes.
Commissioner McLean-Wenzel,
Yes.
Commissioner Logan,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
Yes.
Commissioner Mayton,
Yes.
and Chairman Carlton.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you guys set that for July 22nd? Is that what?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
At this point, everybody's fine with being available?
Okay, I don't really have much tonight. I mean, we just met 2 weeks ago, so I didn't, last time I think I gave you guys a pretty big update on stuff. Didn't really have much tonight. I did want to let you know that the minutes, I'm trying to figure out who to write. So we have the minutes approved through April 8th. And so April 22nd minutes and the May, 28th minutes maybe? They haven't been written, so trying to figure that out. I'm actually meeting with a few staff members tomorrow to try to write them up. I'm going to write the ones up for tonight since they were so brief. And so we might even have the ones for tonight ready to approve at the next meeting on the 24th. I think we will. But those other 2 meetings, we haven't forgot about the minutes. It's just that we haven't had the time to write them, and Rebecca, who typically writes them, is not working right now. So I'm trying to figure out who can write those for me. And then the only other thing I want to bring up is that, just to be very clear for kind of anybody that's watching at home, is the Fun Time RV one that we held last month, we continued to August, and the one tonight we continued sooner. And that was mainly done because we think there was bigger hurdles or challenges, and we needed more time to meet with the Fun Time folks and have that one later on. Whereas opposed to this one, I think it's a smaller tweak and adjustment, so we thought that they could probably turn it around faster and we could probably hear it again. So that it wasn't we're playing favorites one or the other. It was just that based on time, we thought the one's going to take more time to revamp something for you guys to hear again, whereas the other one I think could be heard faster. So that's basically the reason why we did it that way.
So we have PGE also on the 22nd of July, as far as you know?
I don't think so.
Don't do that to me.
Which it's punted down the road somewhere?
I think
I
August.
think we put it in August.
So the August one's going to be jam-packed. Let me see. I can tell you what's coming up. Can you give me 1 second?
Bring my
So on August 26th, you got Fun Time.
That's not working, actually. So
Yeah.
I think the one next meeting we have
With Dutch Brothers.
Dutch Brothers, and then the one after that in July we have this one tonight plus a annexation request, and then the one in August is going to be Fun Time continuance and PG, and then probably something in September, but we don't know what yet. So that's pretty much all I had tonight. I just wanted to let everybody know kind of what's going on that,
And I'm not sure if I even to say this, I'm not sure why Mr. Benson was directing his questions towards me, so I've had no contact with, the last time I had any business contact with him was probably 7 or 8 years ago. I've said hi to him once or twice, but I've had no dealings at all with him.
You were the closest person in line of fire. Well, you own a business.
He
so-
said you were a
Yeah.
builder.
I am own a
I am
business
built.
too, by the way, but he doesn't know that.
So,
Okay.
Okay, so I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Okay.
Go enjoy this beautiful.
7:30.
Don, we're gonna put you in
Thank
charge
David.
any day.
Yes.
Okay, have a good night.
You can take care.
I was just gonna say,